This video is sponsored by Tokyo Treat and Sakurako. Sonic the Hedgehog is a video game series that has experienced much success and scrutiny. From the fondly remembered classic era in the 90s to the adventure and dark eras in the 2000s and the meta era in the 2010s. These different eras all mean something different to Sonic fans, depending on who you talk to. It's because of these different eras that division has been created amongst Sonic's audience. Now, over 30 years later into Sonic's gaming tenure, there are so many people that love and care about Sonic. But the problem is everyone has a different idea as to what makes Sonic good. With the release of Sonic Frontiers rapidly approaching, oh my god, I can't believe it's coming, what can we, or should we, expect? I can only speak for myself and my experiences, and I know other fans may disagree. Before I get into it, I just want to say this video is a one-off, and I wanted to express my opinions on the state of the Sonic series. I appreciate your patience, as more cartoons are definitely coming. Alright, first of all, just like everyone else, the era Sonic was in and the age I was when I first played a Sonic game is incredibly important to the foundation of me being a fan. The first time I played a Sonic game was in January 1994, when I was just 3 years old. My mom came home from the mall with Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I got my Genesis for Christmas the month prior, with Miss Pac-Man as my first game, and while it was fun, Sonic is what made me love my Genesis, and just gaming in general. I played it all the time, went to the local video game store to rent the other Genesis games until receiving them as gifts. I watched Sat AM, I went to McDonald's for the Sonic 3 campaign, I dressed up as Sonic for Halloween, and I even got a 32X and Knuckles Chaotix because I saw it advertised at the aforementioned video store. It was very exciting to be a Sonic fan at the time, and I didn't even know it. My friends at school liked it too, and we would pretend to be Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik on the playground. Whenever I went to the grocery store with my mom, I always wanted the Sonic pasta. Yeah, just because it had Sonic's face on it, I know. My love for the Sonic series definitely had a huge impact on me as a child, with one of the biggest ones being the Sonic 2 cover art. It's what made me want to be an artist. I would take the paper out of the Genesis shell case, and I would make my own alternate covers on the back. It's pretty weird to look back in hindsight and see just how this silly blue rat changed my life. I somehow missed the Saturn era. I did get Sonic 3D Blast when it came out for the Genesis, but I had no idea at the time that other versions of it existed. My mom was aware of the Saturn and went to Walmart to buy one for me, but the guy working in the electronics section actually discouraged her from buying it, and he told her that I was better off without one. In hindsight, I am glad it worked out the way it did. The Saturn's library was already limited as it was in the United States, and its even more limited Sonic selection would have been disappointing, especially to me at that age. Really, it worked out. I had the entire Sonic library for the Genesis and 32X, well, except for Sonic CD and the Sega CD. I somehow missed that one. Besides, once the late 90s came, Pokemon was my new main thing. I mean, I still loved Sonic, and I watched Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog on Toon Disney in 1998, but the hype around the Pokemon boom just covered all areas. Games, TV shows, toys, cards, movies, and everyone at school was so into it too. There was nothing else quite like it. It was everywhere. I continued to play the Sonic games I had on my Sega Genesis even well into 2000 with my friends. I mean, Pokemon was still huge, and pop music like NSYNC and Britney Spears were on top of the world, but I didn't care. I just loved Sonic and Pokemon and my video games and other things like that. We just got our PC at Best Buy, and I found a Sonic 3-pack that had Sonic R, Sonic CD, and the Sonic & Knuckles collection in it. I wouldn't be able to play Sonic CD for a couple of years until a patch was released by a website called Sonic Cult, and I didn't touch Sonic & Knuckles collection since I already had the games on my Genesis. But I loved Sonic R. I'd play that all the time. But then one day, a Toys R Us catalog arrived in the mail, and I flipped through it looking for cool new Pokemon toys. I then spotted in the electronics section that Sega had a brand new system called the Dreamcast, and all of the controllers with all of the different colors they had were on display. I saw Sonic Adventure and Sonic Shuffle as some of the available games, and I suddenly realized what I had missed. I showed my mom the catalog, telling her I wanted a Dreamcast. So after a quick trip to Funko-Land, which is a now defunct video game store that got absorbed into GameStop shortly after, I got a Dreamcast, and only Sonic Shuffle, simply because Sonic Adventure was sold out. But that's okay. I would invite my friends over and we'd play Sonic Shuffle like crazy. This was my first real exposure to modern Sonic, but at the time, no such division in the series existed yet. Even though Sonic looked and felt slightly different, it was still Sonic to me, and no different than the character I fell in love with 6 years prior. Now, I don't know if it's because I was a little older or if it's just because of the slightly different vibe I got from the series, but the adventure era in the 2000s, the early 2000s specifically, a 2000 to about 2003 I'd say, was a highlight. Thanks to being on the internet with a dial-up connection in 2001, I was now able to catch up on all the Sonic stuff I missed in the 90s. The Game Gear was a thing? How did I miss that? Wait, Sonic CD, the game that didn't work on my computer, was actually first released for a similar add-on to the Genesis, just like the 32X? There was another Sonic cartoon I hadn't heard about called Sonic Underground, and it aired on the Sci-Fi Channel apparently? And there was a Sonic movie from Japan that just came out too? Sonic Underground in this new Sonic movie from Japan had an animated Knuckles in it, which was a noticeable absence I felt in Sad AM and in Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. I was on Sonic websites like Sonic HQ, Sonic Stadium, and various MSN groups that allowed me to dive deep into Sonic's now decade-old history. I also discovered Sonic parodies thanks to Newgrounds in 2001, and even though I was too young to understand lots of the adult jokes, it shaped a large part of me, and I wanted to make content just like it someday. That being said, the classic and adventure eras I did my best to sum up here feel different to Sonic today, especially in hindsight. Whether that's a good or a bad thing is up to your interpretation. Personally, the sense of pride and celebration the Sonic brand had at the time was unmatched. Well, I mean, maybe the movies do today, but the games definitely no. Sonic just felt cool, and my peers had a lot of respect for it too. I mean, the only ones that didn't like Sonic at school were the ones who preferred Mario. So around this time, Sonic X was just starting to air in Japan, and I downloaded the first few episodes and I would watch them with horrible quality on Real Player. And even though I didn't understand what was being said because it was in Japanese, Sonic was just so cool. That's the best word to describe it. Cool. I couldn't get enough of it. I patiently waited for Sonic X to come out in the United States with an English dub, and thankfully I didn't have to wait very long at all, just one summer vacation, during which we got another Sonic McDonald's campaign. Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 were the face of the franchise at the time, and with the release of the Sonic Advance games on the Game Boy Advance and Mega Collection on the GameCube, the 2D side-scrolling games, both old and new, were cool too. Then I noticed a bump. A small bump, but a bump nonetheless, and it puzzled me. When Sonic Adventure DX released on the GameCube, a gaming magazine that I would frequently read gave it a mediocre score. What? How could this happen? It was Sonic Adventure, just patched up. How could a game that I and many other people loved so much on the Dreamcast be mediocre on the GameCube? I mean, at the time I enjoyed the GameCube port, and I thought the Game Gear editions were cool. What was wrong with it? I mean, it must have just been the person reviewing it. They just probably didn't like it. Sonic wasn't for them. Oh well, must have been a Mario fan that never got over the rivalry, right? Oh well, on to the next game. Sonic Heroes released 6 months later, and again, critics didn't like it very much. Wait a minute, what's happening? I mean, I liked it. I mean, yeah, it wasn't as good as the adventure games, but it doesn't mean it was bad. I was excited to have a new Sonic game after over 2 years. I'm not counting the Sonic Adventure ports to the GameCube and the compilations and stuff like that. Also, Sonic Heroes had most of the chaotics return too. You have no idea how cool that was to me as a kid. It was surreal. Then, later the next year, Shadow the Hedgehog came out, and that was it. The Sonic brand was officially no longer cool. It was a laughingstock and an embarrassment. Not only were the games considered bad, but the fan base was considered bad too for a multitude of reasons. One of which was the complaining about the voice cast switching. Just a side note here, it was just the English voice cast that switched. The original cast from Sonic Adventure was replaced with the cast from the English dub of Sonic X that just came out 2 years beforehand. In Japan, though, the voice actors stayed the same. That was pretty cool. What's also really cool from Japan is Tokyo Treat and Sakurako. Hi guys, I'm Moogie Mikey.
Axel Lazuli.
And we're going through the September box for Tokyo Treat.
You guys are not going to want to miss this limited edition box.
Yeah, this month for September is going to be focusing on the Moon Festival, and there's a lot of cool things in this box to coincide with that.
Yes, there's a lot of deliciousness going on here, and as you can see, there's also a lot of variety in the things that we're taking out.
Yeah, so one of the biggest things in Japan for September is Tsukimi, which is also known as the moon viewing. Like Hanami in the spring, Tsukimi is all about appreciating nature's wonder. So this time, it's the harvest moon, and Tokyo Treat found a way to fit that into their box.
There's literally so many snacks, I'm dropping some of them as I'm sharing.
They were all very, very good.
Super tasty, and that soda was amazing.
And now onto the Sakurako box. Because fall is right around the corner, in September, Sakurako wants to celebrate with this box.
This box is specifically curated for the Kyoto Moon Festival, and to coincide with that, there's lots of limited edition items in this box that you're not going to want to miss out for in time for September. There's a special cookie with a unique matcha design on it. There's a limited edition plate, a little snack plate included.
A little dish, yeah.
Yeah, it was super cute, and you guys are not going to want to miss out on this. Now is the time to get ready for fall, to get ready for September, and to fully dive in to the many tasty things this box has in store for you.
Yeah, because fall means cooler weather, you can use these treats here along with the tea bags in order to warm yourself up as the weather cools down.
Exactly, and I'm about to give you guys this dish reveal. It's super cool. You're not going to want to miss this. It's a great little dish to eat off of and to put your tea bags on when you're done, and to share some snacks with some friends.
Alright, so let's try some of the contents from the Tokyo Treat box.
This was an orange mochi. It's super ooey gooey and delicious.
Yeah, mochi is really, really, really good. It's very good. And then you got this soda here, the ume soda.
The ume soda was super flavorful. I actually want to go get more. It was so good.
Ume means plum, doesn't it?
Actually, apparently ume is an apricot, but many people do say that it tastes like, plums.
Oh, okay. And then here we have the Hello Kitty Star Milk Bread.
Star Milk Bread!
Trying to open it here. You'll get it.
It was so good. Can't resist. Can't keep me back from this flavor.
This one is actually my favorite part of the box so far, from what I've tried. These were very, very good. I love them.
Same. Two thumbs up from me.
Alright, now let's try some treats from the Sakurako box.
Ooh, this one's my favorite.
Okay, so starting off on this little dish that came in this box, we have the Tamba Black Bean Arare,
the Retro Animal Yoshi Cookie,
and we have Kyoto Candy, which is made specifically for Sakurako.
These were delicious. In fact, I wanted more. You guys are not going to want to miss this month's box.
If you guys are interested in getting your hands on these snack boxes, all you gotta do is just go into the video description or pinned comment below and use the code MoogieMikey to get $5 off your first Sakurako box and Tokyo Treat box. It also supports the channel. Thanks guys, and back to the video. So, I thought it was pretty bad when Shadow released, but then a year later after that, I'm sure you know where this is going, we got Sonic 06. And Sonic's reputation was at an all-time low. He was a punching bag for the latter half of the 2000s. I mean, even when Sonic Unleashed came out, a game I really enjoyed, it seemed like critics were so quick to be biased against it and just give it low scores, simply because of Shadow and Sonic 06 releasing beforehand. Sonic and the Black Knight also continued this trend. Then, all of a sudden, a year after Sonic and the Black Knight, we got 2 games, Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1 and Sonic Colors. Critics loved both of them. Sonic was 2D again, and Sonic Colors was like the daytime stages in Unleashed with more 2D platforming. I mean, on paper that sounds good, right? But the keyword here is 2D. Ah, that's it, 2D platforming, something the Advance and Rush series did throughout the 2000s. And all of them seemed to score well with the critics. But they weren't the main titles, they were just little spin-offs to keep us satiated until the next big game came out in consoles. But this is what it seemed like everyone wanted, and you know what? At the time, I could admit it was a breath of fresh air. But even then, I won't lie to you. When Sonic Colors came out, something felt off. I can't put my finger on it, but it was something that I had never felt before when playing a Sonic game. I mean, even games like Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic 06 didn't even have this problem. I mean, because everyone online liked it. I mean, they liked it a lot. Actually, it's like you had to like it, or else it seemed like you didn't have the best interest of the brand in mind. I mean, according to everyone else, Sonic had returned. The Sonic cycle was finally broken. I can't tell you how many times I saw that image flying around. Sonic Colors was the best Sonic game in years, and all of a sudden the adventure games were buggy, glitchy messes that we should really move away from. But, I mean, I played Sonic Colors when it came out, and it only lasted a couple of hours. The story was, I don't know, it was different, but it just didn't really feel like Sonic to me. I mean, yeah, it was Sonic, but something was just not there. I didn't mind the new voice cast at all, so I know it wasn't that. It's just the vibe I got from Sonic was different and not in a good way. Did I mention the game was also extremely short? There's nothing wrong with a short game, but this was supposed to be the next main Sonic game. Not a spin-off like Sonic and the Secret Rings. Why did it feel like the game held itself back? Was it trying to play it safe and score brownie points with gaming magazines and websites that had control over Sonic's reputation simply through their review scores? You know, I think I just answered my own question there, didn't I? I don't know if others felt the same way I did, but a lot of fans at the time were really proud of how well Sonic Colors did. I mean, I get it. After over half a decade of your favorite series getting trash-talked, it finally seemed like we were in a good place. So, of course you'd want others to be happy and not poison the air, right? I mean, sure, but I knew I didn't actually feel that way. These same people were quick to dismiss IGN whenever they gave Sonic games poor reviews, and they said, quote-unquote, their reviews didn't matter. But as soon as a Sonic game got a good score, they were quick to use IGN as proof the game was good. And therefore you couldn't trash talk it, or disagree with it, anything negative really, because, you know, the Sonic cycle was broken and stuff. Apparently. Everyone said Sonic was back, even though to me it never felt like he left. Until now. I know I mentioned Sonic 4 up there too, but I felt the same about that one. It was a short, scaled-back effort simply checking the bare minimum amount of boxes that it could. Episode 2 was even worse in my opinion, even though for some reason the general public disagrees. Anyway, a year after Sonic Colors, we got Sonic Generations. Alright, now this one actually felt better. The marketing throughout 2011 was great, merchandise was getting pushed hard, and Sonic's reputation was improving, even if I thought Sonic Colors was overrated. When Sonic Generations released, I loved it. I mean, the story was a terrible missed opportunity, but this was a video game. Gameplay first and foremost. Everyone mostly agreed. Then 2012 came and went, and all we got was Sonic 4 Episode 2, which prematurely killed that little sub-series. But then came 2013, and we finally got our follow-up to the success of Sonic Colors and Generations. And it was Sonic Lost World. It was very different. I mean, yeah, it was different. I mean, cool, that's bold. Maybe now this new style can have multiple playable characters again. But the game released and people didn't really care too much for it. The story and gameplay weren't what people wanted, so what happened? How could Sega drop the ball like that? I mean, Generations and Colors both did very well, so how could they mess this one up? Either way, this is when I really began to notice the division amongst the fans. I mean, not counting the black eyes versus green eyes debate that was happening since forever. Sega didn't know what to do with the gameplay style, and modern and classic Sonic were now two separate entities, and the stories tried really hard to be vapid and childish. Just what in the world happened to Sonic? A decade prior to this, he was the coolest thing ever. And now it seems like the brand is so self-aware and self-deprecating to an alarming degree. And at this point, the brand was making fun of itself so you didn't have to. Did you find yourself laughing at how bad the stories were or how cringe Sonic is now? Well, good, because that was always intentional and part of the plan. Imagine a kid at school getting bullied, and then they just start making jokes at their own expense, just to discourage the bullies from picking on them further as a defense mechanism. That's what this feels like. But I mean, come on, as someone who stuck with the series since the early 90s, I recognize it has a lot of baggage, but it also has a lot to be proud of too. And because of that, it shouldn't be moving the bar this low to combat criticism. Why does it need to combat criticism to this degree anyway? The series at this point was over 2 decades old, and it seemed like it was walking on eggshells, afraid of its own reputation. Righting wrongs is definitely a good thing, but the amount they scaled back on because they were afraid of making another Sonic 06 sort of seemed ridiculous. It felt like the respect the brand had for itself was gone, and it was alright with just getting by on the bare minimum as long as the Metacritic score was at least acceptable. So then why did Sonic Boom happen? Yeah, what? I thought they were afraid of pulling another Sonic 06. I mean, yeah, this game isn't a mess in the same way Sonic 06 was, but it wasn't good at all. If this was their idea of trying to have multiple playable characters back again, then they really went about it the wrong way. I won't get into the development of it here, but this really couldn't have been released at a worse time. So we had a 3-year drought, or 4 years if you don't count Sonic Boom since it's not a main series game, even though its reputation and story writing actually did have an effect on the overall brand. Either way, it was 4 years of no main title, and Sonic's reputation was back in the gutter. Again, just like it was in the late 2000s. Good going, Sega. The only thing that was different now was the social media accounts continued to be self-deprecating about the brand, almost like clockwork. I mean, if you took a look at the series in the mid-2010s, it would seem like Sega wanted Sonic to be nothing but silly little games about a blue hedgehog that you couldn't take too seriously. Then, in 2017, Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces released back-to-back, the latter of which made me realize that people were longing for a more serious story. You see, during the game's development and the build-up to release, it was marketed as a story that took itself seriously. Remember Sonic's dad jokes from Sonic Colors, and the Saturday morning vibe from Sonic Lost World, or the nothingness that was Sonic Generations' story? Yeah, it seemed like Sega was listening during that 4-year gap, so that's good. We waited long enough, and it's been 11 years since Sonic 06, so it's about time they start getting their feet wet at least. Classic Sonic showed up in the reveal trailer, which was a sign of not very good things to come, but the overall tone seemed serious. Cool. Lots of people who were fans of the adventure era were looking forward to it. Then it released, and we realized we were wrong about everything. The Adventure Era, right. Okay, so the Adventure Era, at least from my perspective, seemed specifically targeted in the mid-2010s. Classic Sonic and the Boost gameplay seem like the only acceptable gameplay styles according to critics, with the Adventure Era being the odd middle child. The Sonic social media accounts were in full swing, making fun of the low-hanging fruit known as Sonic 06, and even Sonic Adventure sometimes, like encouraging the Game Grumps to make jokes at the series' expense. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with the way people play games and what their opinions are on them, even with the Game Grumps. My issue is not with them or what they said, but it was weird how it seemed like everything that they said was far more prioritized at the time than other content creators that actually cared for this series. Fortunately, it seems like this has changed lately, with Sega embracing other fans and content creators, but I mean, at the time, it was just incredibly frustrating with how far the brand was just willing to make itself look bad, so the critics didn't have to. By the way, just for the record, I don't hate the boost gameplay. Just like the other gameplay styles, I feel like it's pretty fun when done right, even if it overpowers Sonic a little bit. I actually always thought it would be a better gameplay style for Super Sonic. But anyway, moving on. Jumping forward a bit. Mania and Forces, they came out in late 2017. Mania was a success as many had predicted, and Forces was just unfortunately mediocre. Now, I mean, it's not a terrible game. I mean, it plays well, but like Sonic Colors, I felt like something was missing. The game is short, it plays it safe, and with Mania releasing just 3 months beforehand, makes classic Sonic's presence just feel even more unnecessary. Doesn't help that classic Sonic didn't play as well either. This is the game that officially split the two Sonics into separate entities, to which a lot of people were upset and surprised. For those of you who don't know, in Sonic Generations, the classic characters are just the modern ones, but from the past. In Forces, though, Tails specifically says that classic Sonic is from another dimension. Personally, I'm okay with this because I feel like it makes more sense. I mean, let's be real. Classic Sonic being modern Sonic from the past makes no sense. I was willing to accept it when Generations came out because it just seemed one big meta plot and all. But how did the classic characters grow into their modern selves? Sonic, Tails, and everyone else just changed colors and magically grew irises? Sonic couldn't speak for some reason, but then became a chatterbox later on? How did Eggman, a fully grown man, completely change his height and shape? I know it wasn't meant to be thought about this deeply, but anyone who tries to think about it even just a little bit after accepting it at face value might have some questions. Because of the different personalities, designs, and age discrepancies and more, having the characters be separate entities makes more sense, at least to me. But that doesn't mean I like it. I don't like classic Sonic showing up with modern Sonic. I feel it complicates things more than it should. This is a symptom of a much bigger issue that continues today, and until Sonic Frontiers releases, I honestly don't know if anything like that will pop up again, because even if Ian Flynn is writing it, he still has to listen to Sega first and foremost. The issue I'm talking about affects both the stories and gameplay styles of Sonic. As I've said, when I grew up with Sonic, it was during the Genesis and Adventure eras. The portrayal of the characters, the designs, and the aesthetic of the series is what made me love it. Now, if I were a child during the 2010s though, I'm not exactly sure if the way the series was portrayed would have hooked me like it did in the 90s and 2000s. I know there are a lot of people who enjoy games like Sonic Colors and other games from the Meta era, and that's perfectly fine. Personally though, I do prefer the quote-unquote darker stories from the 2000s. Most of them weren't even dark. I mean, sure, a few of them jumped the shark, but they were just called dark because they played it mostly straight. Acting like Sonic was the only series that did this kind of thing at the time would be disingenuous though. I mean, that was the era when it was cool to be edgy. It's just some of the Sonic games we're talking about here weren't fundamentally good, so it was easy to make fun of the stories too. Why can't Sonic have a more serious and engaging story? Is it because the designs are cartoony? Just because there are abstract visuals does not mean that the story should keep itself in a box. The same counts for gameplay too. For the past decade, I sort of feel like Sega was bullied into treating the Sonic series this way, before straight up embracing it. Outside of Sonic Boom, the games in the Meta era were no longer than 5 hours each, and they were heavily influenced by the classic era in one way or another, as if it were the only Sonic era to do things right. They were light on story, and they were Sonic only. Well, I mean, except for Sonic Mania, of course. It seems like with what we've seen of Sonic Frontiers, they're trying to distance themselves from the meta era in a few ways. There are no wisps, a staple of the meta era, in sight. The story seems like it's playing it straight, I think, but it's hard to tell. The same thing happened with Forces, so I won't be so quick to judge. As I've said, Ian Flynn, a veteran writer from the comics that a lot of people seem to like, is at the helm, but there are guidelines he must abide by, whether he likes it or not. Personally, I do not read the IDW comics, and I stopped reading the Archie comics during the Ken Penders era. Therefore, I don't have much experience with Ian Flynn, so I'm not exactly sure what to expect. But, because Ian Flynn is involved, I see lots of people have more faith in the game's story, and that's a good sign. On the other hand, there are still other people that say the stories in Sonic games are not important. And to that I disagree. I think the gameplay and story go hand in hand. I mean, sure, at the end of the day, I believe gameplay should take priority, because it's a video game, and not a movie. But without a story that tries to be at least somewhat engaging, we wouldn't have had E102 Gamma. In fact, I've seen people get into arguments on Twitter about gameplay versus story in Sonic games when it comes to importance. I can't believe it's even come to this. Sonic is a legacy series like Mario, Pac-Man, Mega Man, etc. that should have dignity rather than just trying to do the bare minimum to get by. Because, honestly, that's what it feels like it's doing. Sonic Frontiers is giving me more hope, but if the last decade has taught me anything, it's to keep my expectations in check until the game comes out. And the game being around 30 hours is a good sign, even if it's just artificially extended because of grinding or fetch quests. Only time will tell. To wrap things up, I miss the way the Adventure era carried itself. This goes for some of the games from the Dark era too. Sure, some of them missed the mark, but even when that happened, it felt like it tried. Even with bad games, effort and intentions do matter. It is true though, the quality around this time was questionable. These games didn't have to be bad. But Sega released them in unacceptable states anyway, and that's on them. Yeah, they tried to fix it later on, but it seems like they traded soul for humility. And you know, I hate to say that. I hate to say that some of the recent Sonic games feel soulless. Remember, this is Sonic the Hedgehog, a series that had an incredible influence on gaming and culture, and it persevered for over 30 years, which is a huge detail I feel like Sega took for granted throughout the 2010s. In the 90s, there were a lot of games that tried to mimic the Sonic gameplay style, and that's because it had respect for itself and was a standard to be reached. It wasn't that way because of luck. It's because the developers cared. The care the series had in the 90s and the early 2000s is what I feel is missing, because it affects everything. The story, the gameplay, the aesthetic, it's all intertwined with one another. You know, as long as Sonic games continue to come out, there is a chance this care could come back. Look at the movies. They're a great example of what can be accomplished if there's care put into the brand. I know lots of people are saying Sonic Frontiers is Sonic's last chance, but let's be real here. Even if this game flops or is mediocre like Sonic Forces, many of those Sonic fans will be excited when the next game releases 5 years from now. Oh god. It's that unconditional tough love that lots of Sonic fans like myself have for the series, and I feel Sega eats that up, because no matter the quality of the product, it will be purchased by a fan that either loves it, hates it, or an ignorant parent for their child that doesn't care about the quality and just wants to have fun. That last one there, that is who Sega is targeting. And I get that. I mean, I get why kids that grew up with Sonic 06 liked it. I know Sonic Shuffle is technically bad, but I can't help but love it because I grew up with it, and I had more patience for that kind of thing as a kid. So, my hope here is that Sega understands that there are lots of people that care about this series, and they're the ones that help keep it alive. It doesn't matter how long you've been a fan, though, either. Whether you've loved the series for one day or for 31 years, these games wouldn't exist without people like me and you. The power that we have as consumers is what allows this series to continue, which is definitely a privilege not many video game series have enjoyed, as I mentioned earlier. Sonic is especially lucky to be around after the many eras and years of division the series has created amongst the fan base, including the reputation it had during the Dark Era. And even though some fans don't see eye to eye on gameplay level or portrayal, they still love this character all the same. I'm still quite open to what Frontiers has to offer, and I'm excited for the good changes it can bring. My personal hope, though, is that Frontiers and the Sonic brand as a whole will not be afraid to play it straight, and will allow itself to be strategically bold like it once was. I'm critical of Sonic because I love it, and I know it's capable of doing great things because it accomplished it before. Without those great things, I would not be here, and neither would you. I expect nothing less of a series as resilient as this one. Hey guys, thank you so much for sticking around. I know this video is unorthodox for my channel, but I really wanted to talk about Sonic's past, present, and future here, especially since Sonic Frontiers is coming out. New cartoons are on the way soon, so hit that subscribe button and keep an eye out. I'll catch you guys later.